Hey, what's up? I'm Amanda.
I'm Emily, and this is Two Moms, One Mic. Not today, but I promise there's a mic. Today we have a very special guest, and as you can see, if you're on YouTube, we are in a different location. We're not on my comfy couch. We are with Lucy Lagana, who is a homeopath and holistic practitioner. Now, that might sound very foreign to some of you, and you're probably like, I have no idea what this is and why it pertains to me, but I promise you it does. So take it away, Lucy, and let us know what you do exactly.
Thank you. So yes, I am Lucy Lagana. I am a homeopath. I'm a holistic practitioner. So I've been in practice for about 20 years in the Vaughan kind of GTA area. And so I do specialize in certain niche areas. I do a method of biofrequency testing and treatment, which we can talk about later, which gets into all kinds of different kinds of intolerance testing and treatment. I do homeopathic medicine, which deals with a lot of natural medicine. And if anybody's familiar with homeopathics, they're little pellets that are able to rebalance the system. We can talk about that. And I'm a holistic nutritionist, so I do, obviously, that lends a hand in everything that I do. So, we get into all kinds of different foods and supplementation, tinctures, this kind of stuff. So it's kind of my method depends on what the person is presenting to me, whether it's like a mom, a baby, a child, doesn't matter, but it allows me to take a look at what's going on and then be able to treat it accordingly.
So we wanted to talk to you today because our audience is obviously moms, women, and you deal with a lot of that stuff. So today's, I guess, main conversation is we're going to touch upon common things that you see in your practice, common things that pertain to women, things that maybe women should be considering with their health, or things that they might benefit from like a homeopathic standpoint, especially if like they're not familiar. Like I know right away, everyone's going to be like, what's the difference between a homeopath and a naturopath?
Oh, yes.
So let's clear this up.
That's where my head's at right now.
100%.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Let's do this.
So I get asked that
Lesson
question
for me.
weekly. I get to ask this question. So what is the difference between a homeopath and a naturopath? Okay, so everybody listen carefully. Yes, take notes. Okay, so first of all, think of it as if you're going to a general doctor, like just your general GP, versus a specialist. So a naturopath, in their practice, they have been taught, little bits of different parts of natural methods of treatment. So they'll learn a little bit of acupuncture. They'll learn supplementations. They'll learn a little bit of homeopathics even. They'll learn, different little bits of the methods of natural medicine. A homeopath specializes in homeopathic medicine. Now, we too have to learn, in fact, FYI, the first year of our education is very similar. In fact, a lot of my teachers back in the day, I'm not going to say how long, but they used to come from the naturopathic college. So they would do a lot of our baseline, anatomy, physiology, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Those are all very, very similar. But then it starts branching off because homeopathics, truthfully with homeopathics, you're able to treat mental, emotional, and physical conditions, all with homeopathics. The difference with me is because I am a homeopath and I specialize in homeopathy, so, where a naturopath might have, X amount of hours of training in homeopathy, I have 4 years of specialization in homeopathics. So that's like the difference between going to a GP versus a specialist. So I'm a specialist in homeopathic medicine.
There you go, everyone.
Okay.
The confusion is now, we've eliminated the confusion.
It's because they hear the path at the end. They think that, naturopath.
Well, also, unfortunately, with the benefit standpoint, people are like, well, I'm only covered for naturopath. I'm not covered for homeopath. Right. Which I feel like sometimes, it kind of belittles homeopathy when it's not covered, but it's not. So, she's a specialist. Still, she's a specialist. So, doesn't matter what Manulife says.
Well, here's the Manulife.
Or Green Shield, whatever.
Get on it. Actually, Green Shield covers us as a homeopath. Manulife, by the way, since we're going down this road, Manulife, I have a lot of people on Manulife, and in fact, they do have coverage for me, and they have to actually submit me under this other. I'm an other. So I get submitted as an other. It's just not listed, so people think it's not
Yeah,
covered,
yeah,
but they actually do get coverage.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Depending on your plan, of course. And then a lot of times people have nutritional coverage. So because I combine my therapy, it allows me as well, because nutrition is always in there. There's also that I have coverage, and a lot of people have nutritional coverage. Also, homeopathic. Besides homeopathic, it's holistic practitioner. Some people have like a health spending account.
Yeah.
And
like
if they have a
lump sum.
health spending account, that also is covered, by the way, because they can put it through there. Since now all of a sudden we're talking about insurance.
Yeah, we're not a political podcast, I promise. Anyways,
Sidetracked. We're gonna.
it's
really
all
get
good.
back.
We're just
Okay.
clearing up the confusion. That's what we're here.
Okay,
We're
so-
answering the heavy hitting questions. So let's start. So you deal with women of all ages. Like
Yes.
you literally deal with children, but that's going to be for another day. Today we're going to focus on women's health.
Yes.
So from your professional standpoint, what are like the most common things that you get presented from women, we'll say between 20 and 65?
Okay, so right off the top of my head, I mean, obviously, you know, with women, like it depends on where they are in, you know, with their kind of in their cycles and their age, right? So if I'm dealing with women that are, you know, between, let's say, the ages, because I mean, it can be as young as anything, because I see children, but let's just say with women. So between the ages of like 20 to even 40, 35, 20 to 35.
Yeah.
You know, I am dealing with like a lot of exhaustion. I'm dealing with like sleep difficulties. Sleep difficulties, by the way, is like everybody across the board.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. If you want to talk about a pandemic, that's like a real epidemic that's happening. Is like nobody sleeps properly.
Yeah.
So
That's me.
there's that. There's issues. I don't think anybody comes in and is like, oh yeah, this sounds like
I'm
amazing.
so well rested, said nobody ever.
Said nobody ever. So it's like nobody comes in and is like, oh my god, like, yeah, like I had like amazing sleep last night. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I don't even hear that. So sleep is an issue. So there's issues in regards to that. There are issues in regards to general overall women's menstruation. Okay, so whether they're in the baby making years, so now there's issues with fertility. I see a lot of that. I see a lot of, you know, premenstrual pain and issues with that. And then going older, now when you're going 40 plus, 40 to 60, now we're dealing with the perimenopause, and then we're dealing with the menopause. And so now we're dealing with a whole slew of hormonal issues.
Yeah, hot flashes.
Hot flashes and all that. But people are automatically, they think like menopause, hot flashes. Okay, so newsflash. There's so many more symptoms than just hot flashes.
Everyone take
So-
out your pen and paper. This is the important stuff.
So, I mean, it starts by different things. Like, it'll start with, like, your digestion will be off. You won't be going to the washroom properly. Your bowels will be weird. You'll wake up, and funny enough, like, you'll feel, like, puffy. You'll feel your lymphatics are not draining. Your joints feel like...
They need, like, lubrication.
You might not, like, if you're further into the menopause stage... you could be feeling more stiffness and pain. When it's kind of at the beginning, they kind of feel just like a little bit achy or a little bit like stiff, or like you wonder, like, did I like tweak my knee last night? Like you wonder, but it's not. It's that inflammation. I feel like inflammation right across the board, whether it has to do with foods, whether it has to do with the different things that we're plagued with, whether it is like vaccinations, these kind of things, other things that are inflaming our systems, you know, down to the water that we're drinking, you know, the list can go on.
Yeah.
But, I mean, truly, to answer your question, because I went on a rampage, is, you know, yes, I'm seeing a lot of sleep issues. A lot of people with exhaustion, I feel like there's a lot of burnout, whether you're in your earlier stages or later stages. And then this hormonal disbalance, which is really affecting people, like, emotionally as well. It's not just, hot flash, you know, hormones, hot flashes or hormones, PMS. It's way more than that.
So let's talk a little bit of the biofrequency, which is what you do.
Yes.
Not every homeopath does this.
No.
So that's also something to consider when choosing a homeopath. Like, what kind of treatments do they offer? So let's go into the biofrequency. Just, you know, touch upon that and explain what that's about.
Okay, so biofrequency is a very, very unique method, okay? And it's sitting here for people who can see the screen. You can see some vials on my desk, and they're tiny little bottles that almost look like little perfume bottles, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
And inside there's water that has been charged with whatever the item is. Water is just a water molecule, but when it's been introduced to another frequency, it gets stored in that water. And so our eyes can't see it because they just look like a bunch of little cosmetic bottles. But when you hold them up to your body, because our skin is an organ, it's alive, covers our entire body. And when that is held, because it carries a vibrational frequency, almost if you can imagine putting something under a microscope, and it has a little vibrational frequency, there's that little movement.
Yeah.
That little movement is what I'm calling the vibrational frequency, okay? So it's not some fictitious thing that just is like, it's not that. It's actually a thing. And when I hold that vial up against your skin, I'm able to do what's called an applied kinesiology method, which is just a muscle test. So that's a fancy word for a muscle test. I'm able to see how your body responds. So if your body does not like that vibrational frequency coming into contact with you, it will reject it. And that will result in your muscle weakening. And so I'm able to whip through so many things, whether it's foods, vitamins, minerals, hormones, other allergens, outside allergens, all kinds of stuff. The list goes on that I'm able to see what is agreeing with your body, what's not agreeing with your body, what's inflaming your body, what's not inflaming your body, what is, what hormone is not making proper connections that is disrupting your sleep, these things we just talked about. So it really, really becomes very specific. So the two of you could be sitting here, you guys could both be complaining about being bloated and being like, I'm having digestive complaints.
Yeah.
But for Amanda, it might be like, hers might be food related, and then we might clean up some foods, and you're gonna be like, oh, I feel great. And then yours might not be. Yours, Emily, might have to do more with like kind of a digestive enzyme breakdown. Maybe you have no allergies to the foods. Maybe your enzymes don't want to do anything. The food comes in and it just sits there and looks at it because they're not making connection. So for you, I might have to correct more digestive, and for Amanda, I might have to correct more foods. Both same problem, both treated differently.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have a question, because I'm like the viewers. I'm not familiar.
Amanda's new to this whole thing.
I'm sitting here like reading all of these little vials, and like I see that this one's all food, and this one seems hormonal.
This one is a miscellaneous kit, just because it's what's in front of you. Behind me, there's a whole bunch of other
ones.
Like
what does hot flash mean? What does that do?
Yeah.
That vial.
So with that, I mean, that particular one has to do with there's different hormonal factors that are in that one little vial that has to do with what represents the disbalance within a hot flash.
Okay.
So that's a tricky vial because I wouldn't start with that one.
Good
That's
for
like,
you.
Sorry,
You're quite heavy hitting.
Yeah. So hot flash is like kind
There's
of like
all about
an
emotions
advanced.
here.
That's like the complex
So this is,
one.
so stop looking at this one. No, kidding.
I'm like, this one is more I get because there's a lot of food on. Like,
this
in
one,
this one.
and this is great. There's, like I said, there's levels, right?
Yeah.
Foods are very basic. People can see them. Makes a little bit more sense. Then we get into like hormones, digestion, liver, immune system, nervous system, minerals. There's a whole bunch. This is a mishmash kit that you're happy to be looking at for those who are not able to see it.
This is the variety pack.
Yeah, this is my variety pack that I create because of commonly seen conditions. So, in fact, I have a lot of miscellaneous kits because I find that, doing this for so many years, I'm doing a lot of repeated things. So my repeated areas are things like inflammation, histamine, because that's what happens when there's a response in the body. Your histamine gets elevated. I'm doing things like your vagus nerve, which we can talk about after, but that has to do with your nervous system response. I do other things like, I always check things like your kidney and bladder and make sure they're flushing, and other areas depending if there's a lot of like yeast for people, there's a vial for that. So I mean, we can sit here and there'll be an entire podcast on just all the vials I have.
Yeah.
So so we won't go down that route just yet, but if you guys ever want to do that, please let me know. But that will be an entire Just an entire.
Just know that she has enough options for anything that you bring to her desk. Literally, because
There's a lot.
like
there's a
behind
lot.
her, she's actually covering a whole lot more. So
It's true.
you might think, oh, this is a one-off, and I haven't had success with doctors or whatever.
Mhm.
No, she probably has a vial for that.
That's true.
Yeah,
I probably
there's
do.
a lot here.
And not only that, but this is my one office, which is in Kleinburg, and we're currently sitting in. And I have another office, which I've been at for 15 years.
That one has cupboards of more stuff.
That one has the cupboards of the
That's where
stuff.
people bring their samples. Dog hair, you bring it. Laundry detergent, you bring it.
Hang on a sec. You want me to pull out some dog hair? Well, I have all kinds of people's dog hair, okay? But we're not going to go there. That's, again, for another day. So, yes. So, basically, this is my method in regards to the biofrequency. The reason why I'm talking about that in particular is because many people love this treatment. I have been doing this for years. Yeah. It has been a game changer in people's health. And people come to me and they're like, I went and got my thyroid checked. And it seems fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. It says all my levels are fine. And I will check it and it's not fine.
Yeah.
And the reason it's not fine is because I'm able to pick up minute little differences in how the body is responding. Yeah. They're looking at levels that have to show up in a grid that they have to put, in regards to, numbers. I don't give numbers. I just work on the body's response. There's no numbers involved. If it's not working, it's not working. I don't really care with the numbers at that point.
Yeah.
I just want to go into balance of correction. Then the treatment method involves then the second part when we do find the imbalances to this is where we take some of the vials, we place them on my machine, the person lays down on the massage table, and I do almost a method that if you can visualize it, almost like an electroacupuncture. So if you think about acupuncture, most people are familiar. That has to do with, putting little tiny needles in different pressure points in the body instead of tiny needles, which I don't use, which is why I see so many children, because it's non-invasive, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
But I have a high frequency light that is paired specifically that allows the frequencies of those vials to get drawn out, almost like if you can imagine magnetically, if you can imagine that. And the person is my output, so it's kind of going into them.
She charges you up.
I charge you up. It's just like a computer reboot.
Yeah.
Pretty much. We're like computers, right? So it's just like a reboot.
So earlier you mentioned the idea of like pellets. So aside from the biofrequency treatment,
yes,
there are things that you not like prescribe, but can recommend as additional treatment to aid in whatever.
So for example, again, for those who can see us on screen and for those just listening, anybody who's not familiar with homeopathic medicine, so they're tiny little sugar pellets. Now people, the skeptics will say, oh, it's just a sugar pill, it's just a placebo. No, it is a sugar pill because that is the base at which the homeopathic remedy is placed onto. It holds that vibrational frequency of that particular homeopathic remedy. So they normally come, like, it depends. I mean, I have a lot of therapeutic ones that come in small bottles that, and these get brought in from Europe. Other ones that, get brought in from sometimes the US. And then there's ones that are made right here in Canada. And these is Boiron is a very common one that we see. And these ones, you can see some of them sold in, at Nature's Emporium and these places because they'll have very low doses. And those low doses are just for like acute issues such as, you're having some sort of itchy eyes, or you need some histamine, which has to do with allergy reactions, or maybe you need something for a food poisoning, like something very like acute, maybe a fever situation. These kind of acute situations that just kind of come and go, little situational things. At your health store, they will carry some homeopathic for these. A homeopath, like myself, will have those plus therapeutic dosing. So we're talking, and what that means, the dosing for homeopathics is very different than medication. Yeah. So dosing for homeopathics, something really low will be like, you'll see these little things called like a 6CH or a 30CH, okay? They're low, meaning that you can kind of repeat them a little bit. You can take them as you need situationally. And then from there, it starts to go up. You go into like a 200 level, a 1 million level, a 10 million level. It starts to go up. Those higher levels have to sometimes do with more emotional things, like I mentioned. So if a person comes in, I should have added this to the common ailments. I can't tell you how many people come in with anxiety.
Sure.
I see that now in today's society.
It is
amongst all ages, really. I feel like people think it's like maybe like a teenage or whatever, but honestly, at this point, I think it like spans across like every decade of life.
Yeah.
So the amount of anxiety-driven anxiousness, ADHD, even in adults, I just did that earlier today, but anxiety-driven kind of issues, which then also leads to the insomnia and like issues with sleeping. So this kind of stuff, I tend to, the biofrequency will allow me to only treat certain areas, and the homeopathics allow me to go deeper. Because homeopathic medicine, and let me just preface this by saying that homeopathics they're natural, so it comes from a plant, a mineral, an animal. No animals are hurt to get these, but it can come from the milk of an animal. It can come from some kind of whatever specimen of that animal or whatever. It can come from a gas. So different things are then taken, and they're what's called triturated and prepared in a specific way to make the remedy to be able to hold it on these little pellets.
Yeah.
And then what happens is they're given to a mass of people, and it's called approving. So none of these people, let's say there's 200 people, all being given a remedy. They have no idea. It's a blind study. And they report their symptoms. So if 200 people have been given something they don't know, and it's been reported back that all of them, or let's say 90% of them, are after given a remedy, let's say they have expressed symptoms of really heavy bleeding for women. I mean, in this case, if it was like for the women, it would be like they would be expressing really heavy bleeding or back pains, heavy bleeding with menstruation, I should add, maybe back pains, maybe feeling like they feel very stagnant, they need to move. That would be a lot of symptoms that would be then related to a remedy. For example, I'm just looking at sepia, and that is a remedy oftentimes given for any kind of reproductive menstruation kind of difficulties, and for somebody presenting with those exact symptoms. So basically, the preface of homeopathy is what it causes, so what the remedy would cause in a healthy person, it also cures.
Okay.
Because the preface for homeopathy is like cures like. So what it causes, it cures. So that match of vibration, so it goes back to the vibration. Same thing, same vibration. If you have an issue with, I'm pointing to feta cheese, if you have an issue with feta, and now I'm treating you back with re-recognizing that frequency vibration, I correct your body by re-recognizing the vibration of that, because that means your body doesn't understand.
So let's just talk about this. We're kind of backing up, but still moving forward, I promise. I know where I'm going with this. So, this one has all food, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't do gluten. Oh, I don't do eggs. So when someone comes to you and you're like, oh, right now your body doesn't like eggs. Right now your body doesn't like gluten. Right now your body doesn't like cheese.
Yeah.
I'm just saying those ones because they're most common. But you literally have everything from like peaches to lettuce, whatever.
Right.
Are they going to be able to eat these things eventually? Or are they like, oh, you told me what my trigger foods are, so I'm just never going to eat that stuff again?
Right.
Like, I know the answer, but they don't know the answer.
Em knows the answers to most of these. Okay, so that's a really great question. So I'm going to say this in general, but obviously we know everybody's very individualized, so it's very specific, for everybody. But in general, what ends up happening is when I am treating a food item, let me just make sure that I'm saying that any kind of anaphylactic, this does not include the anaphylactic world. That is a different
If
treatment.
you need an EpiPen, fast forward.
So the
Yeah.
the EpiPen people, we will have a separate conversation about you guys. But I have treated, and I'm not going to say the C word, which is
Yes.
but I have definitely decreased sensitivities even
To
in the
intolerances.
EpiPen world. But this is not what I'm talking about right now. So in regard, because that's treated differently, because that is a very high degree of body's response
Yeah.
to that whatever
Yeah.
item, peanut, this, that, gluten, whatever it is. And so that's treated a little bit differently. For the general intolerance, allergies, something the body doesn't agree with,
Yeah.
creating bloating, creating this, creating a skin rash, eczema, whatever it is. When you are, your body is not tolerating it, during the time that I'm treating it, and if I come up with, okay, Amanda, you know what, like you have an issue with
We'll say milk.
so, and milk has many components, but let's say whey. Whey is the protein in milk. So if I'm like, okay, Amanda, don't take any whey protein and don't have milk right now because I can see you have an allergy. It's inflaming you. It's creating a lot of bloating. Maybe it's giving you migraines. So just stop while we're trying to treat it. So I'm going to say to you, try to avoid it for the next week or two while we're treating it. You might come in for the second treatment a week or two later, and I will retest you. When I retest you, meaning I redo this muscle test after I've given you a treatment, I'm then going to say, okay, it's still showing a little bit weak, so we're going to do a second treatment for you, and we're going to allow this to process even deeper because your body has tried to like almost like clean it up and process what I'm asking it to do, the correction, but it needs a little bit more time. Let's do a second treatment and give it a little bit more time. So again, I'm going to say to you, avoid it for a little bit. And you're going to go off and live your life with,
No milk.
complaining that you can't have coffee in your milk to everybody and annoying them that you're talking about it. And then you're going to come back. And then I'm going to see that you are okay with it. And then I'm going to say, okay, I may, just because I'm a little bit of an overachiever, I might throw it into the treatment again because we might be doing other things.
Just to fully reconfigure.
Exactly. And then I'll say, okay, I want you to put a little bit of this back into your diet now. And I want you to report to me what's happening. Now, that doesn't mean go out and have like mozzarella cheese because mozzarella cheese and milk are different. Okay,
Yes.
So I make people understand that milk, cheddar cheese, feta cheese,
Different types.
blah blah blah, butter, egg
they're
protein.
different
It's like
components.
things that are
all-
lactose. Like some
Mhm.
things they can eat way more of than others.
Exactly.
Like dairy's like a spectrum kind
So
of thing.
these things are different in how they break down in our body. So whether it's a cream, a milk, like a hard cheese, a soft cheese, the protein structures change.
Mhm.
Okay, so it doesn't sound very scientific, or it doesn't look very scientific, but there's a lot of science behind all of this, and that's what I always try to teach people: is that don't go by what you see. We're working on a very deep level. And this is very different than how we have been trained to think. Oh, you're
Yeah.
sick, you go to the doctor, you take medicine.
Yeah.
No, that is not how it works. Our bodies are extremely intelligent, and our bodies will correct themselves given the right information and how to do so. And that is the whole point of how to treat naturally. So the answer to your question is yes, they will be able to eat it again, depending on how severe the allergy is,
How responsive your
how
body is.
frequent, what else is going on? Are you dealing with other health conditions? Or is it just a general, like, little intolerance allergy? Poof, we can fix that.
Yeah.
No problem. People come in here like, oh, I eat apples and they make my mouth itch. Great. We do a couple treatments and they're like, oh, I can eat apples. They don't bother me anymore. This is the type of thing I hear all the time. Or, but if a person, or whatever, or, I eat, apples, we'll use that again and it makes me bloat. And then I do a couple treatments and they're like, oh, I can eat it.
Yeah.
It's not causing me any problem. So this is something people need to know. And just because I know a lot of the people who are listening might still be questioning that whole anaphylactic world. And that, by the way, is treated with very white kid gloves. And I repeat continually on the same item for an anaphylactic a minimum of 4 to 5 times per anaphylactic, regardless if they come back and show that they are strong, like their muscle test is strong against it, I still treat it. And they come back, I still treat it. They come back, I still treat it.
Yeah.
And
To
because,
really because it's such an over exaggeration in the body, like you really have to like hammer that one down.
Exactly. And so with that, and listen, 99% of the time, the people who are anaphylactic and they're coming in with anaphylactics, and a lot of them are children, their parents don't want them to eat a peanut ever anyway.
Yeah.
This is not, the idea is not even for these children or adults.
They just want them to not
safe.
be out in society
Right.
and have an
So
allergic
they,
reaction.
I have a lot of the anaphylactics who can now eat, may have been in the same facility
okay.
with.
Wow.
They're fine. That's already a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, this kind of stuff. So they don't, if at least it's been into contact with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now they can take away the contact worry, which is a big factor. But there's a whole slew of information behind what goes on with that. I won't spend any more time on it, but I just want people to understand the difference because that's important.
And then, can you also help other things like asthma in children? Let's say, a toddler is struggling with asthma, or
So-
other.
Mhm.
I don't know what else, but asthma, for example,
So yes, I mean,
respiratory.
there's so many different ailments. That's one. Right, I see gazillions come in here. So in fact, I'll go deeper than that. With children, one of the biggest ones is eczema.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
you're right.
So
Eczema's very
yes,
common.
asthma
Yeah,
is
my
like
kid had
Yeah.
which
Did you bring him here?
100 times.
Oh, okay.
oh, they are very familiar with my office.
Okay.
Okay,
All the toys here are provided from my
Yes.
children.
this is very true. Thank you, Emily, for providing the toys. Yes. So and in fact, asthma and eczema, that's why I brought it up, are linked. So there's many
Ooh.
studies that link suppressed, the suppressed eczema as a child actually ends up turning into asthma.
Mhm.
So because whenever you're pushing any kind of, our skin is like the last way of something getting out of our system. If it doesn't like something, it can't get out through the organ system. It's going to come out of the skin.
Yeah.
So people have to understand, okay, if there's something happening, that means that it's getting affected. It can't get out the other ways. So it's going to come out of the skin as a protective measure.
Mhm.
And so if then you go to a medical doctor and they're going to be giving you the corticosteroids
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and they're going to push it back in the body, but the body's like, no, but we're trying to get it out because we don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, okay, well, we don't know what to do. So it goes deeper and it starts to store and create a deeper imbalance. Eczema is less serious than asthma. It is a more external versus internal disruption within the body.
Yeah.
Okay? So, but for an example, in regards to eczema, which I see and have seen for absolute years that I've been doing this, I see so much, at one point I was almost going to change the sign on my door to just be skin clinic.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what is every day I'm dealing with all
Yeah.
the skin, And it's because, skin will really reflect a lot of the health in the body.
Yeah.
So, whether it's hives, acne,
Yeah.
eczema, boils, eruptions, rashes, fungal things, I've seen it all.
Yeah.
And more. Okay, so this is a reflection again of either something they're not tolerating, or a deeper imbalance, or there's so many things. It just depends. Okay, so this again allows me to identify the specifics first.
Mhm.
So we identify some of the specifics, and then we also treat deeper through the homeopathics, through some of the biofrequency, and nutritional. I do get into that. So for the younger kids, of course, I'm not going to be recommending, supplementation or herbals. Maybe some vitamins, maybe some minerals, depending on what's going on. Maybe some probiotics, that kind of stuff. Yes, maybe some immune boosters and other things like that. But obviously for the adults, we start getting into other kind of things that sometimes are required. I am very, people who are my patients, they know I am pretty moderate with my recommendations on supplementation.
She's not a pill pusher.
Yeah, I am not.
Like, honestly, like, I've been seeing you for a few years now.
Yeah.
And I could probably count on one hand how many times you've actually said, hey, can you just do this supplement for, like,
Right.
at least a bottle?
So it's required. We need it sometimes. None of us
Yeah.
are, we're on a fast-paced society. We're on the go. We're bringing kids here. We're working. We got to make dinner. We're da-da-da. What's fast? What's easy? So sometimes, yes, we do require supplementation. But I'm very, like, I like people to try and get it from their foods. But then there are other areas. If a person is dealing with a lot of yeast in their body, I will likely recommend something that is going to be a really good yeast killer, like caprylic acid, which I think I've talked to you, Emily, once about, right? Or other things.
I know you do the thyroid one.
Yeah,
It's a big
sometimes,
one.
I mean, we're in Canada, we're here in Toronto, we are far from an ocean. We don't get a lot of iodine in our diet. Most of us are depleted. Our thyroids are affected. This is showing in so many people. So a lot of times, specifically with women, more so, but I'm seeing it a lot in men lately too. And I do have men patients, by the way. Let me just declare.
My husband.
Yeah, declare I do have male patients as well. Yes, there's more women than men, but
Well, it's because the women drag the men in.
Some of the women do drag men in. This is very true. For example, the thyroid, I like to do complexes. So if I'm going to prescribe something, if it's either for a specific reason, like, for example, I just mentioned a caprylic acid that's really, really good at eating up yeast in the body.
Yeah.
By the way, that is coming from MCT, which is within the coconut, but it's different than just a straight up MCT oil, but it's a particular component within the coconut which allows that yeast to not like it in the body, so it breaks up.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's, for example, that's just one specific thing, but I really like formulations. I'm all about formulations. That's my thing. So if I'm going to tell you, Amanda, you know what, I think you should do a thyroid something. So instead of me just saying, take some iodine for your thyroid, I'm going to say, like, take something like a thyroid complex that's going to have things like ashwagandha in it to try and help your nervous system. And it's going to have L-theanine in it, and it, to calm and help, calm with rest and that kind of stuff. But it's also going to have selenium in it, which is great for the thyroid, and iodine in it, great. All these trace minerals, zinc in it as well, manganese. These little trace minerals, there's a reason. And in the ocean water, it's very, very highly mineralized, right? Highly mineralized. So people that live close to the ocean don't have as much thyroid problems.
Yeah.
The further you are, the more thyroid problems there are.
So we'll wrap it up on, I guess, like the takeaway. So what are your, top 3 recommendations for women that want to, support their health homeopathically, aside from seeing you? Which you all should.
Homeopathically. Okay, so that's a tricky one, homeopathically. So because homeopathics are very, very specific. Remember, we just talked about how specific you have to be. But I mean, I'm going to say more supplementationally. Because homeopathically, I would think that with homeopathics, it would be much better for you to
target something specifically.
See a homeopathic practitioner for that. In regards to anything specific. In regards to supplementation, I would probably say, from what I'm seeing right now, I feel like most women need to be on an ashwagandha, which is a great herb for, the nervous system, calming, can help with sleep. You can take it in the morning if there's anxiety and kind of anxiousness.
Sorry, say it again.
Ashwagandha.
I'm going to have to buy this.
Yeah, once again, I hope you still have your pen and papers out, because this is important stuff.
I'm going to actually purchase this.
So ashwagandha is super, super great. I find that I do prescribe that a lot. I find that the other one that I do very frequently as well, for women in particular, let me just think, because besides thyroid, which is another really big one, which I like, particular one that I really, really like, not that there's no kickback, I just like their formula, is it's a Canadian company called CanPrev, and they have a Thyroid Pro, which has this kind of formulation in it, So that is something that's really, really good for people who are kind of dealing with like kind of low mineralization, thyroid stuff, weight issues, this kind of stuff. Like it helps to
I get back on
rebalance. Right? So I find like that really helps. Again, depending on what stage of the hormonal world you're in, if you're younger versus older, I do feel too that a B complex taken in the morning only and taken with food only. If you don't, you're gonna feel nauseous and gross. So
you know, my naturopath gave me a B complex to take, and I haven't been taking it, but
yeah.
I hear that that's
So B complex is okay. So the B's. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, I take a B12." I'm like, "Okay, great." But B12 is a specific supplement that you get from meat. So many like vegans and vegetarians
We'll need to supplement
be
that.
on B12. However, because you can only get it from meat products and this kind of stuff. Great. And it is big with like your blood formulation and this oxidation of your blood. The difference is that I like, again, as I said, I like formulations. I like things to be in combination with each other. So I like to take B's as like a family. So the B complex, and that's what the complex means, is that you're going to get B1, B2, B3, B6, B9, B12. You're going to get them all.
okay.
And the reason for that is because your B complex, number one, if you're on B complex, you take it in the morning, it's going to give you like a slew of energy. So that's already going to be a game changer for so many women who are complaining about energy and exhaustion, right? Because now they're like, okay, I'm not as tired, so I can deal with my screaming children. So now I'm not going to be as irritable because now I'm not as tired because I have a bit more juice in my tank to deal with this. A. B, it works on so much of the nervous neurons and nervous system. So it's like a net. It supports it. There's so many things, in regards to how our oxygen goes through the blood. Giving us that energy. Much to do with our liver formulation. So this goes on and on. But B complex, ashwagandha, a thyroid kind of high mineral
complex.
support complex. Those off the bat, would be amazing. And then, like I said, caprylic acid. This is amazing for like people who are really battling with like yeast kind of conditions, or repeated candida, which is the yeast in the gut, and sometimes even the UTIs. Caprylic acid could be super helpful because of that bacterial growth, right? So listen, we can talk for hours. I can talk for hours about this and more, but
I think we covered a great span of things. I think people definitely, I know Amanda definitely learned a lot.
Yeah, like I just
She's
sat
like
here
a deer in
listening.
headlights.
Yeah.
She's like, keep going. What is all this?
yes. So listen, for me, being in the industry for as long as I have been, and and building upon my knowledge, building upon my clinical experience, that for me is gold, right? You can sit there and you can read all this stuff on Google and
Watch
the
it on
TikTok,
TikTok,
and the scanning through on Instagram. And the problem with that is that unless you are aware of what that is and what that, you will just be gullible to everything you are seeing and hearing.
Yeah.
When I am scanning through, I'm like, okay, yeah, kind of. No, I don't. That's stupid. And no, that, yeah, oh yeah, this is a good one. Because of the fact that you start to understand what the body is truly needing, what is really, how the body functions.
But also, I feel like you really reiterated several times that this is such a personal thing.
Yeah.
So if you're honestly getting information that's just kind of put out for the masses that like someone's getting a kickback from,
Yes, exactly.
maybe you're trying something
That's
and
not
it actually just, you could probably get it tested and be like, whoa, your
Yeah.
body does not like that at all. So, I think anything with health, whether you're going the GP route, homeopathic or naturopathic, it does need to be personalized.
It does.
You can't just like throw yourself in the pot with everybody else and just think like, well, I kind of have what this person is describing, so like that's going to work for me.
Yeah, that's actually such a good point.
Yeah.
Because, I agree with you. Always remember that health is personal.
Yeah.
Health is personal. So don't fall gimmick to a lot of these things that you're seeing.
Yeah.
And if you feel that there is validity, great. But make sure it's going to work for you. and don't just assume it's going to have all these same effects. I have people bring in their supplements and actually test them.
Yeah, I've done that several times.
Their medications, even their supplements. Is it like, are you just having really expensive urine? Because you are peeing it out.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't agree with you, you will be peeing it out. And there's this. What is the point?
Yeah.
Right. So you have to make sure that it's actually being absorbed. People just think, I take all my supplements, I take them all in the morning, I just get them in. Okay, great. What do you think they're doing in there?
Yeah.
You have to make sure they're getting into your cells, getting metabolized, actually processing.
But also taking like a cereal of supplements sometimes actually could counteract each other too, right?
Exactly. So you have to take your time, and of course, this is why there are people like myself, and not only myself. I mean, there's many people. I have a very unique type of practice in how I have set it up, and so for me, this is the things that I have seen that has worked over the years. Just having somebody that's really going to work with you in your health journey is what is going to be the game changer.
Well, thank you so much, Lucy. I'm sure
Thank
we
you.
all, once again, learned a lot.
Yeah.
And if you want to see Lucy, she's at 2 locations, one in Kleinburg, one in Maple. We'll tag her. If you have any questions for her, let us know. And thank you again.
You're welcome.
Thank
you
you.
guys.
Take care.
Ciao.